Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Well, hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I want to welcome you here today. I want to let you know that we have a wonderful show planned for you, and we're talking tournament time. Yes, the regular season is now over. Now we're into extra session, as we call it. Each team is 0-0 on their records, and we are off and running into the playoffs 2020. Want to say a big thank you to the underwriters here today. Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, and Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Also want to say a big thank you to our producer, John Meisner, and also Philippe Simone. Thank you, gentlemen, for the wonderful job that you do each and every week to make sure that we get this show out for everyone. Well, it was a very exciting, and I mean a very exciting day for the Franklin County Tech girls as they had a chance to be able to host the state vocational tournament. And they ended up getting into the state vocational finals. This has been a great year for the girls team under the head coaching duties of Joe Gamache. His first year as the coach of this girls team. A lot of the girls have been playing together for the past 4 years, so they have that really great connection, and it's really shown this year on how well this team has played. Well, in the championship game, they took on a team called Old Colony, which, by the way, plays really tenacious defense, and they did an amazing job against the Tech girls, and they pulled off the 52-44 victory to win the Massachusetts Vocational Athletic Directors Association Small School Tournament. But I will say, the runner-ups this year were the Franklin County Tech girls. The Cougars did a really nice job, and they were able to limit their turnovers as well. Matter of fact, Coach Gamache said it the best. He said their guard play was very good. They can shoot from the perimeter. They have a perfect formula to be able to beat what we do. And no fault to our girls on how we played. We gave it our best effort, but this team was better than us. They ended up losing, not by a lot though. They only lost by 8 points. But they were down by 4 at halftime, and they weren't able to get back into it. You know, even their best player, or one of their top 3 players on the team, Jocelyn Crowningshield, she said it best. The senior said, "We haven't really seen pressure like this all season. You know, it wasn't easy for us to be able to move the ball against this team." Well, Crowningshield herself, she ended up with 6 points. Also, Isabel Duga had 6, and Gabby Castagna ended up leading the way with 10 points for her team. Jemmy Cruz ended up with 3. Desiree Doan and Renee Reed each had a couple of points in that game. Once again, the Tech girls lose in the vocational final last week as they had their little tune-up before their first playoff game. Well, I want to bring up a few things here before we get started on running down what we have. This was great stuff. And I want to give credit to the Greenfield Recorder Sports Department for this because they really did some good homework, and I thought it was very well done. And I wanted to be able to share that with everybody here today. It's Western Mass Tournament 2020. Here are 11 storylines that we need to watch. Let's go to number 1. Can Anthony Peterson from Turners Falls High School get 1,000 points? Well, guess what? As we record this show here today, later tonight, it'll be the Turners Falls boys hosting the Franklin County Tech boys in a basketball game where he is 19 points away from scoring 1,000. So if Anthony Peterson can go off for 19 here tonight, he will get 1,000 points at home against the team that's literally down the street from where he plays basketball every single day. That would be pretty cool. So right now he's sitting at 981 points. If his team wins and he doesn't get the 19 tonight, he still has a chance to get it, but it's going to be definitely on the road. It won't be a home game. They'll be on the road in their next game later this week, where he will have a chance to get the 1,000. So want to wish the best of luck to Anthony Peterson. He's going to have to go out there and work hard. And it all starts as we do this show tonight, as they take on the Franklin County Tech boys. Number 2, can the Greenfield girls make it to the cage for the 3rd straight year? Well, the good news is that they're going to be playing on Thursday night. That'll be our game of the week here on GCTV, where the Greenfield girls will be hosting the Sabas girls out of Springfield. And Greenfield has the home game. They'll have home court advantage. They also are the 4 seed. Sabas is the 5th seed. This should be a very interesting game of the week for sure. And I will say that as far as Coach Hickey's concerned, his team has already met and exceeded the expectations that he had this year of this 2 team after losing the seniors they lost last year. When you lose 2,000-point scorers, things can really be different for you. Well, Coach Hickey is very pleased with the way his team is playing right now, and there's an and in there, and if they end up beating Sabas on Thursday, they will go to the cage for the 3rd straight year. So good luck to the ladies. We're looking forward to having that game of the week right here on Greenfield Community Television with our producer, Philippe Simone. It'll be me, Bobby C., and my brother, Aaron Campbell, doing up the mics that night. And of course, we'll have our great camera crew for you too, that we're looking forward to being able to give you an opportunity to watch this playoff game. We're going to miss Johnny Meisner. He already has a commitment that night. He won't be able to join us. Number 3 of our 11. Can the Athol boys keep their Cinderella story going? This has been a Cinderella story. They had to win 3 games in a row to be able to tie for the league 2nd place tie with Greenfield to be able to get in the tournament. So they get in with a 9-11 record, but because they won their last 3 games, including a victory over Greenfield, they are now in the tournament. They are hot right now. They're averaging in their last 6 games 70 points a game, and they have won 5 out of those 6. So Athol boys are on fire. Number 4, will the Franklin County Tech girls, will they perform to the seeding that they have gotten in Division 4? Can I tell you what? They already passed their first test. They beat Pathfinder. So they did win their first game. We have the details on that game that was played last night. So they have done that. But now they gotta hit the road for their next one, which is going to be tough. They're playing a very, and I mean this, a very tough Lee High School girls program. That'll be a trip for them up to the Berkshires on Thursday. We'll give you more details on that. Number 5 of 11. Can Frontiers' Peter Carey get back in game shape? I think he can, because this kid's a very athletic kid. The thing is that when you miss a lot of games, you gotta get yourself back into the chemistry of your team. I think that's gonna be the biggest thing for Peter Carey, is for him to be able to get back into what they're expecting him to do here in the playoffs. And I'm gonna tell you right now, they need Peter Carey. They have a tough road to hoe if they wanna be able to win a championship. But they got to, and I mean this, they got to be able to pull off these couple victories, including the game that they're going to play against Athol High School. That game will be played tonight as we record this show. It'll be down in South Deerfield as Frontier host Athol. If they can pass this test, they will be on another test that they have to play on Thursday, or it'll be a Friday game. That'll be a Friday night game for the boys, and then hopefully a trip to the cage We'll have to see where that goes. Number 6, can the Mahar girls step up against the best of the West? Well, the answer is they could not. And they did get beat by South Hadley. They ended up losing last night. It was a tough one. They lost by 8, but they did lose to South Hadley, so the Mahar girls are out. Let's go to number 7. Can David Carey continue the hot play for the Greenfield boys? Listen, he hasn't put the pedal to the metal like he has over the last 5 games. I think he's been incredible. I think David Carey right now is the best player on Greenfield's basketball team. And a lot of people have been talking about Mason Meadows. Well, I don't think personally that Mason has stepped up to the level that he should be at right now. Great kid, really nice teammate. I don't think that he's at the level that he should be at right now. I honestly think that he should be in a better place than he is at this moment. David Carey right now is the best player for Greenfield High School. They are going to need him in their game tonight as they host Mount Greylock. So David Carey, tell you right now, I don't think he's going to stop doing what he's doing because he has been doing it very well, especially in the month of February. Number 8, can the Franklin County Tech take control of Turner's Falls tonight? Well, honesty is what it's about, right? Okay, my honest opinion, I don't think that the Tech school can beat Turner's. I think Turner's just has too many weapons. I think that there's a lot riding right now with Anthony Peterson going for 1,000 points. I think that the way that they've been able to do well at home is going to be a big help to them as well. And even though they have 2 guys that have been able to score a lot of points for the Franklin County Tech School, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to be able to sustain the guys from Turner's. So I am going to say that most likely after tonight that the Tech boys are probably going to be out of the tournament. But that's only because I just feel that Turner's is better than them. Earlier this year, it was Turner's with a big win. Final score was 81-49. And I really think that they will definitely pull off another victory here tonight, which will be a really great opportunity to be able to give Anthony Peterson a chance to score 19 points within 2 games, at least if they end up moving on to the next, which I think they will, to be able to hit 1,000 points. All right, let's go to number 9. Can the Frontier girls, can they have another crack at Wacona High School? Yes, they can. They ended up knocking off a Palmer team that beat them earlier this season, and they won that game last night. That's right. With the win over Palmer, the Frontier girls are going to take on Wacona High School up there in the Berkshires on Thursday night. And I will say, they have worked very hard this year. Coach Michon is very pleased with the way his team has improved over the last 6 to 7 weeks. And I can totally get where he's coming from. Number 10, can the Mahar boys step things up here in the tournament? Well, we're going to find that out tonight because they have their tournament game, and we'll find out whether the Mahar boys can continue. I'll tell you what, though, they got a couple of guys that have really been able to help their team. They both need big games here tonight. Jake Tenney and Charlie Barnes, they got to come up big for their team tonight if they want to have a chance to advance in this year's tournament. And I want to wish the best of luck to Coach Softic and his team. Number 11, and boy, do I love this one. How much have the Pioneer girls improved throughout the season? Listen, they have been playing very good basketball. They have a first-year head coach who has never coached varsity basketball before in his career. He's been a long-time official, so he knows rules, but does he know how to coach basketball? I'll tell you right now, they got off to a little bit of a rough start, but if you look at the way Pioneer girls are playing right now, they are playing at a very good level. And Coach Churchill has done an excellent job coming in with this group. And I'm very pleased with him. I'm very pleased with his ladies on how hard they have worked. They have a couple of very young players who have been able to step it up. I think Sophia Walker has been a very big help to them. Tell you what, I really like this team. They have Paige Loftman coming back next year for her senior year. They are going to lose a big player in Stephanie Scoville. Stephanie Scoville is in her senior year, but she has been dominant as well. Between Loftman and Scoville, they have been able to really get things done. They picked up a huge win up in the Berkshires. We're going to talk about that game in just a moment. So there you go. You got your 11 things that you need to look out for, and we were able to run all 11 for you right here on our show. Well, I will say that the Greenfield girls are just literally one win away from going to the cage. They got a first-round bye in the tournament with their excellent year that they've had at 15-5. So now this team will host that game on Thursday night. Once again, it is our game of the week here on Greenfield Community Television. And we will have that game for you on Thursday. And they will take on Sabas, a team that likes to run. But people don't realize it, but Greenfield likes to run too. They have girls who can run just like Sabas can run. The problem is can Sabas stop Katie Hazelton? Let me say that name again. Katie Hazelton. She is unbelievable, folks. She can shoot, she can rebound, she can dribble, she can throw out assists. She does everything. She is the everything player. She steals the ball. And let me tell you right now, when she gets into transition, it's an easy 2 points. And her outside shooting, when it's on, it is on. Let's talk about the cast around Katie Hazelton. You have Raquel Provost, excellent defender. You have Lily Kackelmeyer, who's still very young and learning every single day. You also have an 8th grader who was hurt at the beginning of the year, and Amber Bergeron, who has really stepped it up. Matter of fact, last week in their final game of the season, Amber Bergeron scored 20 as an 8th grader. 20 points as an 8th grader in Amber Bergeron. Greenfield High School is hoping to get to the cage for the 3rd straight year. I want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C., and we are getting ready. The tournament has begun. It started last night as we record this show, and we have games tonight for the boys. We also have all of our local girls teams, except for the Mahar girls that are in this particular region, are all still in because the Franklin County Tech girls won, the Frontier girls won, and the Pioneer girls won last night. And you know what the best part about it is that Pioneer had to go on the road and they won after having to win 3 in a row just to get into the tournament. So at 10-10, they end up winning their first playoff game. The Franklin County Tech girls won their first playoff game in the history of Franklin County Tech girls basketball. Let me say that again. Their first ever victory for the school in playoffs. They ended up winning a home game last night against Pathfinder. We'll get into that in just a moment. Want to run down the seedings here so you guys have an idea of what we have, all right? The number 1 seed in the girls Division III tournament is Wacona High School, which is who the Frontier girls are going to have to play on Thursday night. Number 2 is the Hampshire girls. They ended up with a bye, so they'll take on South Hadley in the next round on Thursday. Number 3 is Hoosick, and I think Hoosick is amazing. And for them to get that 3 seed, they're probably not happy. And they're going to end up using that to their advantage. They're going to take on Granby High School on Thursday night. Greenfield girls, as I said, they got the number 4 seed, so they will play number 5 seed Sabas. That game will be played at Greenfield High School, our game of the week, on Thursday. So, as we said, The other seeds that are now gone are Palmer girls, Marhart girls, Mount Greylock, and East Hampton. They all got beat in Division 3. Okay, Division 4 girls. The number 1 seed, Munson High School at 18-2. They have a very good team, and they will take on Putnam. Putnam will take on Munson. They are the 9 seed. Number 2, Ware. They ended up with a win. They beat Gateway. So they will take on Pioneer Valley Regional in Ware on Thursday night. Pioneer ended up with the 10 seed out of the 15 seeds, even with a 10-10 record. That was respect right there for how well the Pioneer girls have done. The number 3 seed in Division 4 is Lenox. And the Lenox girls, with their victory over Duggan, they will take on Hopkins Academy, which is the number 6 seed. So it'll be a 3 versus 6 on Thursday night. McCann Tech girls, they got beat. Of course, the Franklin County Tech girls, they picked up that victory over Pathfinder. So now they got to travel to take on Lee High School, the number 4 seed. So that'll be a 4-5 matchup, but the Tech school will be on the road. So there you go. Those are the matchups we have in Division 4 and Division 3 for the girls. Let's go to the boys' side for a moment here. We have the number 1 seed in boys Division 3. They are legit. They were there last year. They're back again this year. Narragansett High School, with an 18-2 record, is the number 1 seed. If Greenfield beats Mount Greylock tonight, they have to go to number 1 Narragansett on Friday night. The winner of the game tonight between Mount Greylock and Greenfield boys goes to Narragansett. They have a home game. Gansett is guaranteed a bye, so they will have the home game Friday night at their school, and they will take on either the Wave or Mount Greylock. Sabbath got the number 2 seed. They get a bye. They will take on the winner of tonight's game between Mahar and South Hadley. So if Mahar boys knock off South Hadley, they will travel to Springfield Friday night to take on Sabbath High School. Frontier. The Frontier boys take on Athol tonight at home. If they win, the winner of that game will take on the winner of Monument Mountain and Palmer. Now, if Frontier wins, Frontier will host that game Friday night at Goodnoe Gymnasium. If Athol wins, they will be on the road in the second round. Wacona High School, they picked up the number 4 seed. They are taking on Hoosick in a game that they have tonight. The winner of that game will take on the winner of Renaissance and Murdoch, a 5 seed for Renaissance and the 12 seed for Murdoch. So there you have it. That is our seedings in Boys Division 3. In Boys Division 4, we have the number 1 seed, Bay State Charter. They will take on the winner of the game that's going to be played tonight between 8-seeded Duggan and 9-seed Granby. Munson got the number 4 seed. They will take on Smith Oak. The winner of that game, which is a 4 seed versus a 13 seed, will take on the winner of number 5 Lenox and number 12 Westfield Tech. On the other side, we have Drury, the number 2 seed. They drew a bye, so they will have the home game on Friday night, and they will host the winner of tonight's game between Turner's Falls and the Franklin County Tech. So the 7-seeded Turner's Falls Thunder and the 10-seeded Franklin County Tech Eagles, the winner of that game travels on Friday to the Berkshires to take on Drury High School. Hopkins Academy, the number 3 seed, they got a bye. The winner of the game tonight between Ware, the 6 seed, and number 11, Hamden Charter School, will take on Hopkins down in Hadley. That game will be played on Friday night. So there you have it. Those are the seedings. That is the breakdown. You got it right here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Let's get into hockey. We have a very powerful hockey team around here, folks. And yes, in the Division 3A tournament, the number 1 seed goes to the Green Wave of Greenfield High School. That's right. The Green Wave got the top seed. They also got an automatic bye into the semifinals, which I think is absolutely awesome. So here's the deal. They have to play the winner of Chicopee and South Hadley in a game that they will have. That game will be set for Saturday in a game that they will have down at the Olympia in Springfield. So the Green Wave is off until Saturday. They will play in the semifinals down at the Olympia in Springfield. They will take on the winner of Chicopee, the 4 seed, and South Hadley, the 5 seed. Good news, they beat both these teams during the regular season. The Green Wave going in high in that tournament. Well, let's run down the games that happened last night. I was telling everybody about that, and I wanted you guys to know how things finished out. The Franklin County Tech girls, how sweet is this? They march on with their first ever tournament win in girls playoffs. The 5th-seeded Eagles ended up having a dominant third quarter, and they went on to win 47-25 over Pathfinder. You know, right now, their team is 19-4 on the year. That is amazing. Of course, they're taking on a very powerful team that, even though their record is 12-9, up in the Berkshires, all those teams all play each other no matter what the division is. That's how they do it up there. They don't have the girls all make trips down here all the time to be able to fill their schedule. They only have a couple games they play down here. Mostly, they play all their games up in the Berkshires. And that's because of the weather that they have during the winter months. They have to be able to do most of the games up there, and that's exactly what they do. So even though they are in Division 4, Lee usually competes with teams that are in Division 3 because of the schedule that they play. They're pretty much playing up. And let me just tell you right now, their first game that they played last night, Lee ended up winning over St. Mary's 60-12. 60-12 was the final. But the Tech girls also won pretty handedly as well, 47-25 over Pathfinder. You know, if you talk to their senior, Jordan Hilbert, she'll tell you that everybody has really come together this season. You know, she had a great day yesterday. She had 17 points and 13 rebounds. She says that we've been able to dominate a lot of games, and then there's been games where we haven't. But that's where we've been able to get contributions from other people. And that's why our team has done so well. And I couldn't agree more. I think that Jordan hit the nail on the head. The reason why this team is doing good this year is they're not relying on just one player. They're relying on many. You know, even Coach Gamache will tell you that all 3 of his seniors have really set a good example for all the younger players. And, you know, the best part about it is that when you have senior leadership, you usually are able to go far because of the fact that your younger players are buying into what they're doing and seeing the success that they have been able to have, and they want to be able to ride the coattails of those seniors. And that's exactly what's happened this year. And it's even happened to the coach as well. You know, Coach Sean Knightley did a wonderful job with these girls until he ended up stepping down as their coach this year. And Coach Joe ended up coming in. He had good talent. He knew that coming in. But the nice thing is that these girls have been able to work with Coach Joe and how he likes things done. And it's all worked out well for this team as they picked up their first tournament win last night. Congratulations to the Tech girls, and let's go. Let's go Eagles. You ladies, go up there, give it your best against a very good Lee Wildcats team. Well, last night, the Pioneer girls had to take a trip. They had to go up to McCann Tech. It was a 10 seed versus a 7, and they came up with the 45-42 win. It was a 3-point victory for the Panthers. And Paige Loftman ended up having another wonderful night. She ended up doing everything that she could to be able to help her team. Steph Scoville, the senior of this team, the only senior on this Pioneer team, she came up big as well. You got to remember, they're only losing one player. Everybody else is back for Pioneer next year. Yes, they're definitely losing a very good player and a very good scorer in Steph Scoville, but some of these younger players are just going to have to step it up, and I see a nice future for Pioneer girls basketball as long as these girls can continue to stay together. So the Pioneer girls pick up the win, and they move on in the tournament. One of the younger players who's been able to really step it up for them is Sophia Walker, and she ended up with 6 points last night. Scoville ended up with 11, and Loftman ended up leading all scorers with 17. So a very solid night for the girls over there in Northfield. Well, turned out to be a pretty nice night last night over there in South Deerfield as the Frontier girls ended up picking up a win. It was an 8-seed game versus a 9-seed game. And it wasn't disappointing at all. It was a good game. Final score was Frontier 54 and Palmer 46. Marie Demon and Amelia Sobieski ended up leading the way for their team. They were very solid. Matter of fact, Demon, the senior, ended up with 20 points. Of course, Sobieski, she's still going to be back on this team. This team has got a really good program coming back. She ended up having a nice night as well. She ended up with 11 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 steals. That's a good day's work right there. Also, Caitlin Mackin, she had 24 rebounds for Frontier in the win. So there you have it. Those are our games that have been able to be played so far. We also were able to run down the tournament updates on how the seedings have gone. We talked about our hockey team, where they stand right now. But I will tell you, there's another tournament that's coming up, and the Mohawk Trail skiers are going to be heading north for the state championships that'll be coming up this weekend. I will tell you that the MIAA the Nordic Ski Championships will be held this weekend. Mark Pollard, the head coach, will tell you that there's a girl who's been able to get it done all year long. Erica Lumen. She's a senior. She has been their leader. She's been able to be the person to be able to help them get to the point of where they are. Even though they have the smallest team of all the schools that will participate, they have girls that have been able to get it done all season long. Want to wish the best of luck to the Mohawk girls in their trek to hopefully bring home a state championship. That'll be this weekend. As I get ready to wind things down with my final story, it's sort of bittersweet, but it was a really nice written piece that was done by a guy who has been a local journalist in our area for a very long time. And the one thing that I like about what he did is that Matt Couture made it very clear that this upcoming way of revamping the tournament play for all sports has been sort of disturbing, especially here in Western Mass. What he mainly said is that the MIAA has always said that they care about the student athletic experience. And they always promote that. Well, in this case, Matt feels, and this is his opinion on the piece that he wrote in Mass Live this past week, that he doesn't feel that it's about the experience of the student athletic situation with these kids. Making teams from the Berkshires have to travel to Boston, making the Boston teams have to travel up to the Berkshires, making somebody have to go to Cape Cod, making somebody maybe have to go to Martha's Vineyard for a game. The experience is about family. Matt doesn't feel it's a good thing for the families because how many family members can get the time off to enjoy all the playoff games when teams are traveling so far? Matt also doesn't feel that there's he feels it's very impartial for the Western Mass teams to go up against the Boston teams. Even though the way they set up the seedings, he doesn't think that it's going to be quite fair. So what he's pretty much saying is that some of the teams that might have a decent record here in Western Mass might not be good enough for them to get in the tournament because they're only going to take a certain amount of teams from throughout the state. And with the way that they end up doing their seedings and how they really keep track of how everything goes, it's going to be, will the teams from out here, will they get enough wins to make it so that they can go to postseason play? Well, we're going to find that out when this new thing, it's definitely going to pass here, folks. The preliminary vote was 15-0 that they wanted it. They have the next vote, which is the final vote, coming up. They had a bunch of people that were able to go speak last night about this, and people knew when they went in, they were talking to a wall because it was 15-0 the first time. You're going to tell me that 8 or 9 people are going to be going a different way from just a month ago when they did the preliminary vote? It's not going to happen. This is happening, folks. There will be a new playoff system. But here's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that maybe we could be able to set up before the big state tournament a Western Mass Invitational, which you take the better teams that did well during the year and you set up an invitational tournament down at the Cage at UMass and give the kids a chance to be able to play. Now, what that will do is some of these teams who weren't able to get to the state tournament because their seeding wasn't high enough or their win percentage, but they were still very competitive and did well, they could get invited to this invitational tournament to be able to play some extended basketball after the regular season. This is something that a group of people are trying to put together. I think that would be wonderful. So really what it's doing is it's still giving our local Western Mass area a chance to have a champion, which would be nice. It'll be a special invitational tournament that they would have to literally set up on their own. And they have to call it an invitational because everything else is under the MIAA. So as an invitational, they can go as an invited guest to that tournament. He also brought up a really good point too. He said, what about the fatigue factor? What if you're a team and you have to travel to 2 or 3 different sites? You're traveling to your first game and you're in the Berkshires and you travel to Boston and you win. Then you have to travel again because of what your seed is to the next town and you're playing a team down on the Cape. Then you end up playing in the semifinals that'll be down at the Garden, down at TD, and you're playing down there. Look at all the travel that a team has to deal with and that factor of driving all that way to get to a venue to play, then drive home. And then 3 nights later, you're back on the road again because you got to go to your next game. And then 3 days later, 4 days later, you play for another game down in Boston for a semifinal or a championship. It's a lot of work. There's a lot that's into this. But the people down there in the Boston area think that this is a very good idea. But the folks here in Western Mass, they have a totally different opinion on what they feel. All I can say is, if there's one thing that could be a consolation to all of this, is that they could set up that invitational tournament for Western Mass teams to be able to give these teams a chance to be able to continue to play. Teams in their own area, teams that they know, and some of the teams that won't make it to the state tournament will still have the opportunity to go into some postseason play. I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. A little bit of a shorter show today only because we're in tournament now. We're now into tournament. So the show is going to be a little short because we're only dealing with our teams that we have left starting next week. We're going to be losing a few of these teams because the tournament has just begun this week. On behalf of John Meisner, our producer, Philippe Simone, I'm Bobby C., and I want to thank you so much for joining us this week. Want to thank the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, and Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services for all of your support of our show and these kids. Get out and support your teams. Yes, folks, the tournament's on in basketball and a #1 seed for the Green Wave hockey team. And don't forget about our girls over there at Mohawk. They go for a state championship in downhill skiing this weekend. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.